Attention passionate Cleveland, BROWNS. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Cleveland Browns' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Cleveland, BROWNS. Let's get to the news now, folks. Today we've got some really exciting, yet controversial news coming out of the NFL and especially affecting the Cleveland Browns. We've seen how this league is always evolving, always full of surprises. And right now, a lot of eyes are on the quarterback position, not just for Cleveland, but across the league. But what's really catching everyone's attention is the growing buzz around Shedeur Sanders, the young star who's been making waves from college to the pro scene. And, interestingly enough, he's been compared to other promising quarterbacks, even by veterans like Cam Newton, who recently made some pretty bold statements. Cam Newton, one of the most exciting and dynamic quarterbacks of the last decade, and a former NFL MVP, just took to his podcast, 4th and 1, to share his thoughts on Sanders. And what he said is nothing short of explosive. Newton didn't hold back. He claimed that Shedeur Sanders, right now, is a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy, who is currently sidelined due to a high ankle sprain. That's a huge statement, especially coming from a guy like Newton, who's evaluated countless quarterbacks over the years. He pointed out that Sanders, despite being a fifth-round pick, has shown incredible talent, maturity, and poise, which many would say surpasses expectations for someone drafted so late. But why is this comparison so important, especially for Browns fans? Well, because it highlights a changing landscape at the quarterback position, not only in the league but specifically in the AFC North, where Cleveland is trying to establish itself as a perennial contender. McCarthy, the Vikings' young gunslinger, was seen as a rising star earlier this season, opening as Minnesota's starter and showing flashes of brilliance. But he's also had his struggles, and that's what makes Newton's comments even more interesting. Because Newton believes Sanders is already better at this stage, which could hint at a future where he takes the NFL by storm sooner rather than later. Now, let's take a step back and look at what this means in the broader context for Cleveland. We all know that the Browns have been in a bit of a quarterback flux over the past few seasons. After Baker Mayfield, things seemed uncertain, and even Deshaun Watson's arrival brought some hope, but also questions about consistency and health. The team has invested heavily in trying to secure a franchise quarterback, and while Watson was supposed to be that guy, the reality has been a mix of flashes and struggles. That's why the potential emergence of someone like Shedeur Sanders could be a game-changer, especially if he continues to develop at the rate many are now beginning to believe he can. Sanders, coming from Colorado, didn't have the most traditional path to the NFL. His college career was impressive, and he put up some outstanding numbers, but due to circumstances beyond pure talent, like team situation and coaching changes, he wasn't drafted in the first or second round. His fifth-round selection surprised many analysts, but that's often the case with quarterbacks who come from smaller programs or less traditional powerhouses. Still, his talent, arm strength, and football IQ are undeniable, and he's been focusing on football, keeping his head down, and proving himself on the field, rather than getting caught up in the hype. What's even more compelling is that Cleveland is likely to give Sanders a shot at starting at some point this season. When that moment arrives, the spotlight will be intense. Fans will be eager to see what he can do under the bright lights of the NFL, especially in a division as competitive as the AFC North. The Browns, with their solid defense and a running game led by Nick Chubb and others, are looking for that spark at quarterback to push them over the edge. And if Sanders, with his skill set, can develop into a consistent starter, it could change the entire team's trajectory. It's worth mentioning that Sanders' focus has been on performance. He's not out there chasing headlines or social media fame. He's laser-focused on proving himself through his play. That kind of attitude is what NFL teams crave in franchise quarterbacks. And if he manages to get his shot in Cleveland, his potential to become a long-term solution is very real. He's got the physical tools, the mental toughness, and the right attitude to grow into one of the league's top quarterbacks. Now, let's talk about the comparison that Newton made between Sanders and McCarthy. It's fascinating because it's coming from someone with Newton's experience and eye for talent. He sees something special in Sanders that maybe some others are just starting to notice. Of course, McCarthy has shown flashes of brilliance, but he's also had moments where the game has looked a bit fast for him, especially early in his NFL career. His development is still ongoing, and the Vikings are clearly hoping he'll take the necessary steps to become their franchise quarterback. Meanwhile, Sanders is in a different position. He's been working hard, focusing on his craft, and it seems like he's already ahead of schedule in some ways. It's a reminder that the NFL is always looking for the next big thing, and sometimes those surprises come from unexpected places. Cleveland fans should be paying close attention because if Sanders gets the opportunity and continues to develop, he could be the quarterback who finally gives the Browns the stability they've been craving for years. But let's also consider the bigger picture. The AFC North is a division that has been dominated by the Cincinnati Bengals and Baltimore Ravens in recent seasons. The Bengals, led by Joe Burrow, have established themselves as a powerhouse, while the Ravens have been tough to beat with their innovative offense and strong defense. The Steelers are always in the mix, thanks to their tough defense and gritty style. For Cleveland to rise to the top, they need a quarterback who can elevate the team, who can perform under pressure and make big plays when it counts. And that's where Sanders' story becomes so intriguing. If he continues to impress and gets that first start for the Browns, the expectations will skyrocket. The fan base is eager for a new face of the franchise, someone who can bring excitement and consistency. With his focus on the game and the potential he's shown, Cleveland might have found a hidden gem, a quarterback who can not only compete but lead the team to new heights. Of course, it's still early days in Sanders' NFL journey. There are questions about his adaptation to the speed of the game, how well he'll handle the pressure of being a starter, and whether he can develop the necessary decision-making skills to succeed at the highest level. But the signs are promising, and with the right coaching staff, he could develop into a star. Now, let's not forget the importance of supporting players around him. Cleveland's defense has been solid this season, and with the leadership of players like Myles Garrett, they're always in the game. The running game, anchored by Nick Chubb, provides a safety net for any young quarterback. The key for Sanders will be to build chemistry, read defenses better, and make smart decisions, things he's been working on tirelessly. If he can do that, the sky's the limit. And speaking of the season, the Browns are currently in a position where every game counts. With their division rivals eager to prove themselves, each matchup becomes even more critical. The AFC North is known for its physicality and competitiveness, so Cleveland needs stability at quarterback to finally tip the scales in their favor. If Sanders gets his shot, it might just be the spark that pushes them into playoff contention and beyond. Looking ahead, the NFL landscape is always shifting, and the emergence of a player like Sanders could be a game changer, not just for Cleveland but for the entire league. As teams continue to develop young quarterbacks, the league's talent pool is getting deeper, and the competition more intense. For Browns fans, this is an exciting time. The potential is there, the pieces are falling into place, and all eyes are on the young man from Colorado who might just be the next big thing. So as fans, we have every reason to be optimistic but also patient. The journey from college star to NFL starter is a long one, filled with ups and downs. But if Sanders continues to focus, improve, and stay hungry, he could be the quarterback who finally leads Cleveland back to the promised land. And when that moment comes, the celebration will be unforgettable. The passion of the Browns faithful, combined with the talent of a rising star, could be the perfect recipe for a new chapter of success in the Dog Pound. And now, Cleveland Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Cleveland Browns. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Cleveland Browns news. Thanks for being with us, and let's keep the passion alive.